feel free to get comfortable. I wrote the script, and then we went out to directors. We absolutely went out to directors. I had no intention of directing, like I said in the beginning. And then it was one of those things where it started to feel like it was falling away, and I took that very, very personally, and I got really hurt by it, and so it had nothing to do with what I had written. It had everything to do with how much time I had spent trying to get more people to know about David Foster Wallace. So I was like, I kind of felt like I was on some sort of crusade or whatever, so I wanted it done, and then I kind of thought, well, maybe I'd do it. And believe it or not, it was Rainn Wilson from The Office, and we were at Sharky's Burritos. And he was like just eating a burrito, and he was like, I don't know, why don't you direct it? And I was like, gosh, man, I can't. And then I just thought about directing it, and it was the only, I was the only person who was going to keep going at that time, so I decided to do it. And then the weirdest thing was I wasn't supposed to be in the movie either. I absolutely did not want to be in the movie because I think I had to be really artsy, as is evident by the black t-shirt. I thought I'd be really artsy and like do the thing of like, I don't want anything to do with this movie other than direct it, and these actors will be great, and I can blame them if it doesn't go well. And then we had a scheduling conflict about 2 weeks before we were shooting, and the weird thing about that performance in particular, or not performance, but that interview, is that you can't ask a human being. The thing was, what I wanted to do is, believe it or not, I made them all have lunch with me before. And then if after lunch they were interested at all in reading it, I would totally give it to them. But my whole thing was I talked about that night in college. That's all I did. I sat down at lunch and I told them how incredibly emotionally connected I was to it and how it had sort of defined me. And however overly sentimental it sounds, it's true, and it was a very huge experience. And if we do the movie right, it'll feel like this. And once they understood that, every single one of these actors and crew members signed on because they loved the work. It had nothing to do with me. It had nothing to do with, you know, what kind of thing they might get out of it. It was all about like, oh my God, I've never seen anything like this. I can't wait to do it. So that was why I had lunch with them, so that they wouldn't think that it was just another guy trying to make a movie, that this was totally not about me and much more about David Foster Wallace.
Yeah, got time for one last question.
Oh man, you better make it good. And he's videoing, by the way, so.
Yeah, okay.
You can all check this out on YouTube in about 20 minutes.
Well, this is because...
I know I am.
I just wanted to say Stephanie Vance loves you.
Awesome.
Okay. And my question is that the...
Yep.
Sorry. Your end monologue, talking about the girl who was raped, that was, I'm sure I speak to everyone, that was a very powerful scene. And I was just wondering, like, I mean, what do you have to do to get into that? Because I know that, like, anyone I know, like, I mean, that's heavy stuff, and I don't really know how you could really get into that and perform the way you did.
That's very nice, after me saying that I was scared out of my mind of doing it. Thank you for that. You're my new best friend. Put that on YouTube. To get into that role, it was really interesting because, again, I had read the book so many times that I loved to hate that character. In my opinion, totally up in the air for everybody, in my opinion, he's the only hideous person in the movie. I think that all these guys, the thing about the title of the book is it's completely ironic. None of these guys are hideous. They're all very insecure. They're very vulnerable, and they try so desperately to overcompensate and not show you inside, and I think it's something that every single one of us is guilty of. So at the end of the day, I don't think this is about men and women. I don't think anything like that. It's about interconnectivity between us, and the only way to make change in any way, politically, personally, anything, is to be honest. Confront everything about yourself before you start pointing at other people. So to do that part, my whole thing was to not do anything I just said and try to be thinking about something so selfishly. And the criminal thing that he does, I think, is that he is somehow able to take a rape story that is so incredibly both shocking and awe-inspiring in a way, and turn it about himself and say, do you have any idea how that felt to me, and can you see what that night meant to me? And that level of selfishness, I just tried to play an incredibly selfish person rather than have anything to do with the rape. Therefore, a selfish person would be recounting that as he was doing it, rather than going into it knowing what I was going to talk about. I just thought, what would an incredibly hideous jackass do? And that's my take on it. So, guys, thank you so much for coming. Thank you.